WNST, Towson, Baltimore, and Baltimore Positive. It is football season around here. We're excited about a lot of things. First things first, we're doing the Maryland Crab Cake Tour presented by the Maryland Lottery in conjunction with our friends at Jiffy Lube and Window Nation, 866-90Nation. Make sure you're finding them here in September as well. We're going to be doing that on the 15th. That's next Friday. Ravens will be 1-0 by then, going off to Cincinnati and all that good stuff. Next Friday morning, we're going to be joined by our Coppin State partners. We are their flagship, have been their flagship for a decade. Dr. Anthony Jenkins and basketball coach Larry Stewart will be joining us at Fadley's. I'm going to have the shrimp salad and some fried oysters because that's the way I roll. You can get a crab cake because they're delicious. The Maryland Crab Cake Tour will be out all year long. We're going to be going to this place. Going to be going up to Perryville in the Hollywood Casino and the sportsbook up there where I have sat and watched Oriole baseball this year. I was there for the Orioles opener on the road. And now that the Orioles are like 40 games over 500 and having fun and everybody's wagering on it, including my kid, it's time to talk some gambling. This is going to be a new segment we're going to do here every week. I don't do a lot on gambling. I think anybody that's listened to me for 32 years knows that. It is legal. We have a great partner up at Hollywood Sports and Perryville, and Hollywood Casino and the Sportsbook. We have the Sportsbook manager. Christian Horton is going to join us every week. And this is my favorite part for my audience. This is where I get to make a fool of myself each and every week by making my picks against the spread, which I used to do with Vito Stellino and Spiro and the Swami back in the 90s. We are celebrating our 25th anniversary here at WNST with all sorts of fun things. One thing that I can tell you is that when I used to pick football games, I was pretty good at it. Like, I'm not lying. I never bet, but like on a weekly basis, I was so good at it that people would actually call me and ask me who I liked back when like I was in the locker room, not supposed to like anybody. Christian, I just want to say welcome. I hope we get to know each other pretty well here, in the coming weeks. And I want to send everybody up. I love your casino. It's a lot of fun. When my wife and I have gone up there, you have great bands, great music, great food. I was up there for an Oriole Padre game a couple weeks ago, late at night with a friend, just having that salmon BLT. How are you, man? Happy New Year to all of you sportsbook manager types, man.
Yes. Happy New Year. I'm good. I'm excited for the football season. See what happens. It's always a great time. We had a great, exciting college football week 1. So hopefully the NFL follows up with that, and we see how it goes. And
all right. Well, look, you're a little younger than me, right? And you got that
Yep.
Belichick image behind you, so I'm going to out you right away as a Patriot fan, and that's fine because the Ravens are going to have a better season than the Patriots. I think we're clear on that. But you've had more parades, and that's okay. And Bisciotti and Harbaugh and DeCosta can chase their parades and all that good stuff. But bring me up to speed on modern sports wagering as you see it. I mean, you're a young guy. Like, I'm an old fart. I had a credential for 26 years before they threw me out. You can read my letters out at Baltimore Positive this week about all that. But the number one thing that would have got me thrown out would have been wagering, right? Like just asking Joe Flacco how his shoulder felt this week because I was going to bet 100 on him or against him 10 years. Like, that just didn't exist. We're in a whole different world now where all of my 32 years, this would be like talking about weed or murder or anything else that was against the law, for years and years and years. And now every single day, my son's betting on baseball. People are winning. It's out there. The taboo, much like cannabis and other things, alcohol 100 years ago after Prohibition, this is the new world. And you sit here and you're making your living doing this, and so many other people, and everywhere I put on the TV, everybody's a gambling act. Everybody's Jim Feist with grease in their hair now trying to give you their 900 number. It's so ubiquitous and available. What's your advice as a sportsbook manager in doing this? Because obviously you have gambling awareness. We want people to behave responsibly. But like, you literally sit there every day. You do this professionally, where you'd had to be in Vegas 20 years ago to do this professionally.
Yeah, no, my advice would be, especially with it being Responsible Gaming Month in September, but just start off slow. We have a lot of sports going on with baseball. We have baseball starting or ending, football starting, college football. Start off slow, see what your niche is. You may want to pick money lines, which are just straight teams to win rather than against the spread. Obviously, you don't make as much money on the money line because the odds might favor for a team to win more than the spread. So my advice is to start slow, see what happens, see where you get hot. You also could do player props. That's something that I like a lot. Anytime touchdowns, yardage, so on and so forth. But like you said, sports betting just became legal in Maryland 2 years ago. So, it's new to everyone. You see it everywhere on commercials, everywhere. So, I mean, you can do it on your phone now. Just got passed last year on your phone. So, just start off slow and, have fun with it. Don't
Well,
make
I
it
would
a
say that
profession.
the minute you're in trouble is when it's not fun anymore. Right?
Exactly. Yeah.
Really, I mean, there's a real barometer on this. If you're losing too much money, you got stop. You
Yeah.
know, and if you're winning too much money, slow down a little bit.
Yeah.
You
You
know
can't
what I
get
mean?
you can't get greedy, because I see that happen a lot of time in the sports book. Is people get greedy, they get hot, and they want to put it all in.
4 o'clock, they're feeling good. At 8 o'clock, they're feeling like, what? Why didn't I leave the casino?
They
at 4?
lost it all. Exactly. I've seen that many a times. Yeah. So start slow, have fun with it. That's all. That would be my advice.
Well, listen, we're gonna pick games this year, and I'm gonna have
Okay.
fun with it. And I know there's so many exotic ways to do this, and I'm gonna leave this for you. And I'm not a real gambler, and I'm not gonna pretend to be one on the radio after 32 years. But I know many of them, and I would encourage them to do it responsibly, but also with our partnership. And I love your casino. I love coming up there. How can people sports wager with you right here, right now? What should they be downloading? How should they be doing if they want to sort of play along with us?
Yeah, so if they want to come in person, they can do that at Hollywood Perryville Casino. They can come up to us. We have 8 kiosks. We also have counter betting, where they can come up to us if they don't want to use the kiosks and tell us whatever teams they want, and we can help them out. We also have a sportsbook app. You can do it online if you don't feel like coming in, or if you feel like the game's about to start, I don't have time. You can download our sportsbook app and do it on online there. We also have a great frequently asked questions section, where if you don't know what you're doing, you can go there and kind of get your questions answered before the game started, and you figure out what you're doing.
If you don't know what you're doing, you shouldn't bet. So learn what you're doing first, because it's your money,
Yeah,
So
yeah, exactly. No, a lot of people. I've never done this before. I just want to bet the rate. So if it's for fun like that, we understand.
So in teaching me this, and we'll go through the games here in a minute, but
Yeah.
as an example, I'm going to pick against spreads that
Mm-hmm.
are, as we sit here, and we're going to do this segment on Tuesdays or Wednesdays most weeks, right? And
Yeah.
it's going to hold up. People are going to hear this on Thursday or Friday or Saturday, and that's cool. Lines can change, and there's a Thursday night game. But I'm trying to pick all of these before the game's played, and I'm doing that. I promise that if when the Chiefs win and I pick them, that we didn't pick it on Friday. But so we're going to go through all of these games and pick them against
Okay.
the spread. But there is a way to just pick winners and take your winnings, even though if it's a 13-point spread and you pick the favorite, it's going to cash like a 4-5 horse or something like that, right?
Yeah.
Like it's a
Yes.
little different taking long shots. And look, and I'm very familiar with betting on horses. That's something that's been legal, that we've talked about here for 32 Preaknesses on the air, like all of
Mm-hmm.
that. But when it comes to football, and listen, dude, baseball wagering, I made fun of it last year when it's on every night, because
Mm-hmm.
I've been doing this professionally for 30 years. I've never met anybody that's ever called me in 30 years on the radio and talked about betting on baseball, because it was such a weird starting pitching. Now it's, I can bet on Gunnar Henderson to hit a home run tonight if I want and get a
Exactly.
number on that,
Yes.
right? Like,
Mm-hmm.
so it's a different way that we talk about it than I'm going to pick the games against the spreads. That's really not probably the majority of the way people wager anymore, right? Like
Mm-hmm.
literally,
No.
that's
No.
not
Yeah.
it's not my dad on a pool card picking winners, right? Literally.
Yep. You have much more options now with it being online and it being legal. Like you said, the player props, anytime touchdowns, a guy to score 2 touchdowns, Gunnar Henderson to hit 2 home runs. You have so many options that you can do to make your money go a long way. So you kind of get bang for your buck, and that's what makes it fun. Especially if you're attending the game, watching the games, following the games. You have many different ways that you can win, rather than just one way against the spread or the over and under.
Is the NFL your game? Or are you more NBA, baseball? What do you do?
I grew up a basketball fan. I grew up. I played in college. Loved the NBA. I followed ever since I was young. Allen Iverson's one of my favorite. Well, is my favorite player. And so NBA is my niche. And obviously, me growing up in New England, football was 1B, I would say.
Dan Shaughnessy and Bob Ryan would just vomit when they hear that. That the Red Sox have moved to the bottom of the ocean amongst New Englanders, but and the bottom of the standings, if not for the Yankees, which I think we can both appreciate that. Christian Horton is here. He's
Yeah.
up at Hollywood Casino at the Sportsbook in Perryville. We're going to be up there this season. We're having the Crab Cake Tour up there. They have some great bands. I'll talk about that, but I want to get to picks here because I'm going to do this every week. I'm telling you, I used to be good at it. It was back when I was credentialed and all that, but we used to make picks on the air. Ray and I would make them on Fridays. And in my old days, I have been doing this 32 years. I would come in on Friday. Tony Delarose and the Seabass Richmond would come in the studio in our first hour. We would always pick the Ravens because we loved, it was late 1990s, 25 years ago. And we would pick all of our picks and keep track all year. And I always did pretty well. That being said, this is full shoot interview here for you wrestling fans. I've bet on 2 sporting events in my life. I was in Vegas with my wife 20 years ago on a bye weekend, and I think we bet on or against the Patriots, and I put $25 on the Broncos. It was just we were sitting in a casino, and we were actually watching baseball. It was 2004, the only time I've ever made a sports bet, because I had a press credential. It just wasn't what I did, but I picked games all the time. So these spreads and where they are, how much are spreads moving these days? Not based on an injury to the quarterback, but when you come out on a Monday or a Tuesday and it's 6 points, can it move to 9 or can it move to 3? Or are we still shaving a point and a half most of the time?
Kind of like you said, it really depends on injuries. If guys are going to play, it depends. It doesn't move too much from 6 to 9. That's a major drastic line change. That would have to be like the quarterbacks out or the running backs
It just
out.
feels like there's more money than Vegas money now, right? Like there's a whole lot more in the parimutuel system to say everybody's betting Eagles this week or everybody's
100%.
betting, right? I mean,
Yeah,
so
100%.
it would seem to me that if big money comes in, and that can happen any minute, for any number of ways, which for all of this, I shudder for the NFL that they're in on this and adjudicating this, and you're paying bets in a casino. It's unbelievable, one pass interference, how many billions of dollars it pushes on a Sunday on a field goal made or missed. And so it really is crazy. But picking these games and where the lines are, do you have any solid advice for people to say, get it early if you feel the value? Because if you see the value, everybody will see the value. And all of a sudden, you were getting 6 points and now you're getting 4.5.
I don't believe in picking early. I think that can come back to hurt you because, like, you don't know all the info as a team would know, such as on Saturday nights, more info comes out. You find out weather conditions. Obviously, in football, when it's football season, anything can happen. It can snow in Green Bay, and they didn't expect the snow, so anything can really happen. I'm big on waiting it out and getting all the insight that you can.
So unlike what I'm doing right now, is just making my picks.
Exactly. Yeah.
Hey, I would say to you, and I love to tell my Clem Florio story. Clem was an old racing sage, and he was a boxer, from New York, So, but Clem was the racing guy, and I would go out and this was where you could wager. I always love having Marty McGee on and Dick Girardi talking about their degenerate gambling habits as horse racing guys, as railbirds, and as writers. I mean, they wrote for papers and stuff, and they just went up and wagered, and they put their picks in the paper. And I mean, this is the root of everything you're doing in regard to being a tout or being an advice person or having tips or having insights or analysis, whatever those words would be for Jimmy the Greek Pete Axel. But Clem would never bet on a horse until the horse came on the track. He would get his binoculars out and he would, I got to get out there, Ness. I got to see what he's got. Oh, look at him, you baby doll. He's sweating. He's ready to run. He's ready to run.
Yeah.
So he would never make a bet until 2 minutes before the race. He'd see the horse gallop, see the jockey, see the field, and say, okay, I knew I was going to bet on this horse Thursday when the form came out, but I need to see the horse. I hear where you are, that like 12:45 on Sunday's not a bad time to be making your wagers when the injuries and all of that's why people wait for the injury reports at 11:30 that we text out, courtesy of our friends at Coons Baltimore Ford.
Exactly. And especially, with COVID, still COVID going out. You don't know if guys are going to get sick or anything like that. I've missed out on bets like that so many times where I thought team was going to have a certain player, and that guy ended up having COVID, and he had to sit out.
I
So
remember when Lamar was supposed to play in Chicago, did the press conference. I showed up in Chicago, there's no Lamar. And then we ask about it in the press conference, and the PR guy steps up and says, hey, then we won the game. Talk about something else. And I'm thinking to myself, hey, I don't know how much the line moved that day, but Lamar's playing or Lamar's not playing. There's probably no bigger factor in sports that would move a line more than Tyler Huntley starting this week, right?
100%, 100%.
Christian Horton is here. He is at the sportsbook up at Hollywood Casino in Perryville. They are our friends. They're right across the bridge. They're easy to find. Right next to that big fun park that they built up there next to the water. All right, let's make some picks here. Now, you're going to make some picks, and I'm going to make some picks, right?
Okay, cool. Yeah, that works.
All right, now, Lions-Chiefs, Thursday night, kick it off the season. The Kelsey thing, right? That's what I mean about moving a line. It's 5. I don't know if Kelsey moves it from 6 to 5, but I'm getting 5 where I am right now. Look, man, I think the Lions are going to be a better team. They're on the road. It's very, very hard to pick against the Chiefs at home, against Andy Reid, against Mahomes. 5 points doesn't seem like too much delay, but this is a real coming out party for the Lions. Not if they cover, they need to win the football game, but this is a good game to start the season because the Lions have always – they won one playoff game in my lifetime, right? So since Plimpton. So they're always a doormat. They don't ever get this opportunity to have bright lights. This will be interesting, but I think they're going to lose, and I think they're going to lose bigger than you think.
Okay. Yeah, no, my insight, I think the Lions are going to go out with a fighting chance. I like Dan Campbell as the head coach there. I think they kind of adopted his culture and kind of what he wants to do with them. I'm a big fan of Jared Goff. I don't know why guys have written him off. But I think he's kind of rejuvenated himself from last year and is going to take this team somewhere. I think they make a playoff run, and I think they win tonight, kind of like you said. I don't think they cover. If they play in that cover range, they might lose, but I think it's going to be a shootout tonight. And I got the Lions winning and covering.
Whoa! We're already at odds, he and I. It's probably that Bill Belichick thing behind him. Christian Horton from Hollywood Casino. All right, so let's go through some 1 o'clock games. I'm going to keep the Ravens for the end most weeks, but I'm going to start with them because I think they're going to win. I think they're going to cover. I think the Texans stink. I think it's going to be a nice little coming out party. I think they have a lot to prove, a lot to play for. I think they'll win 34-14. I think they'll destroy the Texans.
Oh yeah. The Ravens. I mean, yeah, that's that. I think Lamar has to prove himself too, coming off the contract extension. He has to prove himself to the fans. So I think they also the offensive coordinator too. OBJ has to come out, have a good game. And really win the fans over. And I think the Ravens cover too by with the -10.
I think against a bad defense, Zay Flowers is going to have a big day as well. All right, quickly through some games here. Carolina Panthers at Atlanta. Atlanta's a 3.5-point favorite in this game at home. The Panthers are still, to me, under rebuild. I'm going to be one of these guys this week, and you already went against it with the Lions, but I like home teams in week 1. I do. I just do. And at 3.5 points, I have no problem laying that against the Panthers. I'll take the Falcons.
Yeah, I like the Falcons too, especially in Atlanta, like you said. Both young quarterbacks there, but I think the Falcons have more talent on their end. The Panthers kind of in a rebuild mode. First year head coach, not really knowing to figuring out. So yeah, I like the Falcons also.
Browns and the Bengals, we're going to see all of these teams on the road here this month. Obviously, the Joe Burrow factor is a factor in all of this when you're talking about lines. But 2.5-point favorites on the road, up in Cleveland, Battle of Ohio, dot in the I and hang on Sloopy, all that stuff going on. I'm inclined to take the Browns. I don't, from the Bengals perspective, I was there when they almost won the Super Bowl a year and a half ago up in the upper deck and all that Zubaz going on and all that jungle stuff happening. A lot of momentum in Cincinnati. I think they're a team that takes a thud this week. I'll take the points at home with the Browns.
Like the Browns, the Browns historically has just always let me down. They've just always been the Browns.
You and everybody else in Cleveland.
Exactly. I'm not gonna hop on that horse this year. I'm gonna go with the Bengals. Like I said, more talent. Also, a team with something to prove. Coming off the Super Bowl 2 years ago, I think they want to establish themselves in the AFC as being the main guys for Kansas City and the Bills. So
I think it's hard when your quarterback wasn't in camp. I just think that's tough, especially when he's as good as he is.
That's true too. That's very true. That's something to watch also. That's a bet to see if he's actually going to play. We don't know yet. If it was me, I would keep him out. But yeah, I still like the Bengals. I think they have a great head coach and a great system there.
We don't know anything about the Pittsburgh Steelers, right? Like other than they're figuring it out and they have a pedigree for all of this. They are at home this week against the San Francisco 49ers. 49ers minus 2.5. Nobody likes this. The Steelers get no respect here, right? And San Francisco playing with this 7th-round kid and trading guys off. And listen, the 49ers as a roster stacked. I think we saw that all last year.
Mm-hmm.
And it was always about whether the quarterback could be there or not. It's a tough trip coming over. I'll take the Steelers at home. Give me the Steelers at home in week 1 with points. I'll take it. Give me the 2.5.
I'm right there.
The
Yeah, I'm right there with you. I like the Steelers also, especially being in Pittsburgh. Against a West Coast team, they got to fly across country. I'm sure they've been there for a few days, but I think it's going to be rough on them. Even though their roster stack, I think they still have stuff to figure out in-house with their quarterback situation. And I'm going to take the Steelers right there with you.
Man, all these cord cutters and all this direct TV and YouTube, all these 1:00 games going on. Like, I'm going to be glued in on the Ravens, but if they're up 21-3, I want to keep an eye on what's going on with the Bengals and the Browns. And then you always want to keep an eye on the Steelers. They're all playing at the same time, so a little difficult. Yeah. Christian Horton is here from Hollywood Casino. We're going to be doing this every week, making our picks. We hope that everybody wagers responsibly, has a great time with the NFL season. We're going to be doing week after week, having fun. I'm going to be up at Hollywood. I'm going to talk about the bands and the pianos going on up there next week and all the good stuff happening. The Washington Commanders, I don't know what the hell their name's going to be next year, the year after that. They got the owner and all that. 7-point favorites at home. I mean, this really speaks to how screwed up Arizona is and how they feel about the kid out there. And 7's a big, big number for the Washington football team at home. I'm inclined to take Arizona in the points, and I don't know much about them. This is just a gut about what happens after Dan Snyder or whatever. Maybe they have a coming out party, win by a couple touchdowns down there, but I need to see that. I'm from Missouri in this one. I'll take Arizona in 7 points.
Okay, Arizona. Yeah, I mean, your insight is true. However, I do love the Commanders. Last year, towards the tail end, they showed a lot. They came alive. I love their talent on defense with Chase Young, still to see if he's going to play or not. Also with McLaurin, see what's going to happen to him with his turf toe. But I'm going to go with the Commanders here. I think they're going to come out and put it on them for sure.
Buccaneers and the Vikings, also a 1:00 game up in Minnesota, where they can't get out of their own way. They're 6-point favorites at home against the Bucs. I'm inclined to take the Vikings. I like 6 probably more than I would have liked 7. So I'll take the Vikings. I'll spread 6 points against the Buccaneers. I like the Vikings head coach. I spent some time with him at the NFL owners meetings last year, so I have sort of a little bit of a soft spot for him and sort of rooting for them. Plus, I have all this purple in my closet here at this point. So I'm going to take the Vikings, spread 6 points against the Bucs.
Yeah, I'm gonna go against you on this one.
You're a Baker guy, are you?
Yeah, no, not a Baker guy. I just think I like the Bucs defense. They still have their core attached. A lot of veterans on their defense. I think they give Kirk Cousins a run for his money. They pressure him a little bit to force him to throw a few picks. The Vikings also figuring it out too. No more Dalvin Cook. No more Adam Thielen. So I think they have stuff to work out still. So I'm gonna take the Bucs with the 6.
2 more 1:00 games. Indianapolis Colts come here a couple weeks from now. They're taking on the Jaguars. Jaguars 5-point favorites on the road to Indianapolis. I don't think much of Indianapolis. And if I were to come into your casino right now and put a nickel on a team that might be a much better team, the Jacksonville Jaguars this year, look out for them. I don't know what the over/under on wins is on them, but I bet the over.
Okay. Yeah, no, I like Jacksonville too. Last year they went to the playoffs, got a playoff win. Played the Chiefs a little hard towards the end. They kind of fell off, but yeah, I like the Jaguars to come out and lay it on the Colts with a rookie quarterback with not much experience, and the Jonathan Taylor thing. They're still trying to figure that out, so I'll take the Jags too.
5's not enough. Yeah. I mean, give it to me. Titans and the Saints last 1:00 game. We're going to see the Titans in a couple of weeks over in London. 3-point favorites. Saints at home against the Titans feels a little pushy to me. I think the Titans are going to win the football game. I'm going to take the Titans in this one. Give me the 3 points on the road.
Yeah, this one's a tough one. This one's a toss-up for me. It's more of a pick-em for me. The Saints at home, it's just their defense in the dome. They always show up whenever they play at home with their D. So I'm going to go with the Saints on this one. and hopefully I'm wrong, but Saints. I think the Saints squared out.
Bunch of 425 games. All 32 teams playing this week. No buys, obviously, to kick the season off. Raiders at Broncos. Broncos 3.5-point favorites. Really speaks to how bad people think the Raiders are, where Sean Payton and Russell Wilson might be. But I saw Russell Wilson play late. I mean, maybe, I don't know. But I'm inclined to take the Raiders in 3.5 points here for some reason.
Yeah, no, I like the Raiders also. Like the guy in the back, Josh McDaniels, he's a disciple of Bill Belichick. So, I'm going to follow the Patriots West with the Raiders. So
Dolphins, Chargers. Chargers are 3-point favorite at home in LA. Is there a home game for the LA Chargers? That's probably not London at this point. But the Dolphins coming in, the injury to Ramsey and, where the Dolphins are and the unknowns for them. And the fact that the Chargers and Herbert are considered, he's the golden boys in every commercial, like all of that. You're going to see him all day Sunday. Nobody even knew what he looks like. They know they have flashy jerseys. Nobody can name another Charger, right? But that being said, I'll take the Chargers. I mean, folks have been very bullish on them. I'm taking them because they're home. I'm more inclined to take home teams. I'll spread 3 points on the Dolphins this week.
Yeah, I'm right there with you with the Chargers too, especially it being at home. The Dolphins also figuring it out. Like I think them losing Ramsey's big. They got Keenan Allen, Mike Williams on the outside. So they still have things to figure out. I'm going to take the Chargers too.
Rams go on the road to Seattle. It's 5.5 points up in Seattle. And I guess the Seahawks trying to find some sort of resurgence here, and the Rams feel like they've fallen off the face of the earth. And, F those picks. Yeah, it's nice to have a Super Bowl. Then what do you do, after that? But 5.5 points at home, up for the 12th man. I'm inclined to take the Seahawks and spread the 5.5 points at home just because it's a home game. And I've said that all along week one.
Yeah, no, Seattle definitely 100% at home with the 5. They call it up there the 12th man. That always has advantage up there. So LA, they're figuring it out. Their picks, injuries, guys that want to play, they don't want to play. So yeah, I'm going to go with Seattle and Pete Carroll with the 5.
No more interesting team than the Green Bay Packers. Suns, Aaron Rodgers, and Brett Favre's not even in jail yet. But the Bears are a 1-point favorite at home, right? Which almost feels like, well, you're really an underdog, and we're trying to. These are two teams I don't know how to figure out. I would be inclined to take the Packers just from pedigree because the Bears always stink, and even though they're home, so I'm going to take the Packers with the measly point. But these are two teams we need to figure. Everybody loves the Lions. Nobody loves these teams.
Yeah. No, last year I called the Bears beating San Fran week 1 when they're in Chicago. So I'm going to go the same thing. The Bears versus Packers. I'm going to go with the Bears at home. I think Justin Fields has a coming out party. DJ Moore. They added some key additions. So I think they surprised a lot of people with beating the Packers.
We're all waiting on the quarterback in Chicago, right? Right? And we're waiting on the quarterback in a lot of places. And for you, waiting on your quarterback in New England, the Patriots at home against Gang Green, the Eagles going. I don't root for the Eagles too much, but I don't have any problem doing it here this week. 4 points. You're a Patriot fan. You're a bleeding. You've seen them be as good as any team could ever be. Where are you in this rebuild as a fan and believing that Belichick's still going to be here the next time it gets really good again?
I don't believe he'll be here. To be honest, it's going to be a tough rebuild. I think we're about 5 years away from adding the guys that we need to. I think he'll kind of mentor who's next up in the head coach. But it's a tough rebuild right now, especially with Tom. I knew once Tom left, it was going to be tough. You kind of can't replace a guy like that. So, it's a tough time. But I think this year we make the playoffs, but we don't make much noise.
4 points. Taking it or giving it?
I'm gonna take the points with the Patriots. I'll be there live cheering with the Tom Brady retirement. So I think with them, I think they actually went to against the Eagles. I think they squared out, and they get the Eagles on upset.
Well, that would be something. Eagles wake up, 0-1, and that's the thing about this week, right? Like everybody gets their feelings hurt. Half the league's like, oh my God, we waited 9 months, we got our ass kicked, or we lost by a field goal, or the refs screwed us, or whatever the complaints would be. Christian Horton is here. He'll be here every week from Hollywood Casino. We're making our picks. You're keeping track of these at home. 3.5 points on Sunday night. Cowboys at the Giants. There's always hype on the Cowboys year after year, and there's probably always stupid money on the lines on the Cowboys side of things. I don't know what there is to really recommend the Giants in this case, but I'll take the Cowboys. I'll spread the points. I'll do it on the road. I'll be the sucker for the star this week.
Yeah, no, I'm the same thing. I'm right there with you with the Cowboys. I seen a crazy stat. Dak Prescott was the last eight meetings with the Giants. He's 8-0. So I'm gonna ride that wave out until it dies, and I'm gonna go with the Cowboys with the -3.
We used to call those on the radio. We called them fun facts.
Fun facts. Okay.
Fun
Yep.
facts,
Yep.
as we call
Okay.
them.
Got
Last
it.
game for you here. Bills at the Jets on Monday night. Jets 2.5 points. Boy, people love Aaron Rodgers, but when it comes time to bet on him, we'll take the Bills on the road. Like that's people are still stacked up on the Bills, and the Jets have a lot to prove. It's a hell of a platform for them to prove it on Monday night, though. I will take the Bills. I'll spread the points. I'm not necessarily a believer in Aaron Rodgers. People give me a hard time about Lamar too. Like, do I think Lamar is going to win a Super Bowl with this outfit? I'd probably bet against it more than on it, and that's not being mean. That the odds would tell you that. But in the case of Aaron Rodgers, I'm not necessarily sold on this turnaround for the Jets. I'm not. I'm not convinced he's worth 6 wins to them.
I'm right there with you. I think Rodgers. I think this is kind of a name team. A team that just has a bunch of names and they make it look good and they're hyping them up. So I'm right there with the Bills. I think the Bills still have a lot to prove. Last year they kind of didn't do well in the AFC Championship. Actually got blown out. So I think they come out and show the league that they're actually the main guys these years.
They were the best team in the league last
Bills.
year. They were,
Yeah.
right? I mean,
with record-wise, yeah.
Yeah.
And the 3 games they lost or the 2 games that they lost were by 3, under 3. So, I'm going to take the Bills.
A lot of hope up there in Western New York. Also, a lot of hope up in Cecil County, Perryville. Hollywood Casino. Christian Horton's running the casino up there. He is a sportsbook manager. He will be a recurring figure here that I will be giving a very, very hard time to next week if he comes back from Foxborough hungover and 0-1 and at the hands of the Eagles fans who, come on, the Eagles, Hey, man, good luck this weekend. Kick it off right. Wager responsibly. Take a lot of bets. Have a nice handle and get that salmon BLT up there at Hollywood Casino and the Sportsbook, all right?
All right, sounds good.
All right, we're going to be cashing tickets here all season long. Our friends up at Hollywood Casino. And I do want to give a shout out for everything going on in Perryville. The Flying Ivories are going to be there from 6 to 9 next Friday night on the 15th. That's a rousing happy hour. They have dueling pianists. They're doing all sorts of fun entertainment up there on a nightly basis. Friends of mine and different bands are going to be there all months long. Strikers Posse, who I love, great reggae band. They're there on the 29th. Surreal is there playing some classic rock on the 22nd this month. And Bad Alibi, and that's just a whole bunch of stuff. They do everything on the 30th of the month. That's up at Hollywood Casino in Perryville. They are our partners and our sponsors, and we hope that that you wager with them if you wager, and when you do it responsibly. Slow your roll a little bit, all right? I am Nestor. We are WNST, AM 1570, Towson, Baltimore, and we never stop talking Baltimore. Positive in our 25th anniversary cupcake.